Osman. Mafwa. Can we start with the hearing?
Yeah.
Thanks. Honorable MEC Ademukoni and Team Agriculture and Administrative Leadership of the HOD, members of the committee, delegation from Treasury, Auditor General South Africa, Team Legislature, good morning and thanks for having honored this meeting. A meeting which is a second round interaction between the SCOPA and the department. On the 14th February 2023, we gathered here under the same roof, trying to interact with your presentation until we resolve to agree that you have to go back and improve the version of your file due to issues that members were raising on the day in question, concerns that they raised. We amicably agreed to convene you in due course, and we are here today. Thanks for having honored the invitation. However, Honorable MEC, the committee still feels that the packaging of your file makes it difficult for them to access certain information. It was until we annexed so the general packaging of your file is a cause for concern. But also authenticity of the information that you are giving us has got a lot of questions and answers. And they requested me to, before we start HOD, to request yourself through MEC, HOD to get condolence letters from Treasury with regard to irregular expenditure. Because your report clearly said that this one has been condoned, and when we want to check those letters of condonment, we were found wanting all of us, unless if we package this somewhere, so our request is, can you, your compliance manager, make sure that we get the condonment letters as early as now. That's one critical issue before we go here. And we will request us to engage in a spirit of correcting one another, trying to take the department to a particular level. You know you have been unqualified for, I'm sure, 4 or 5 consecutive years on MEC. So I think our take is that you are a potential in audit. If certain things can happen accordingly, if you can try to comply with the necessary issues that AGSA has raised. If you can make sure that your management plan is adhered to with time frames, we believe you and other departments are the potential to get in. But the issue was even in future, next year and 2 for the forum, so yeah, it was so difficult for us to get information. I think I'm communicating what we have identified as a policy, and I think even in the future, let's try to package it in a manner that it will make us easy to go through. Last issue that I think I need to emphasize is that our aim is to make sure that this year in agriculture today reflects compile a report that to reflect. And you are better placed to assist us to arrive at that. To ensure that we dispose of all the issues that are outstanding and we conclude our hearing with the Department of Agriculture today. Which means the ball is in your court. How you respond, how you give us evidence of what we are talking about will make this meeting very easy and arrive at its conclusion. I think that is our request that we are making. Let's go to item 3 because I was dealing with item 1 and 2 at the same time. Item 3 is about introduction. I will request members of the Standing Committee on Public Accounts to introduce themselves, starting by myself. I'm an interim chairperson for the day because the chairperson of SCOPA is not in the province due to some other political work, and the committee has decided that I take the responsibility. I'm Jerry myself, and I'm also chairperson of the Department of Agriculture. We'll also meet at another level. Honorable Mark.
Thank you, Chairperson Jacques Mother, member of this portfolio committee.
Morning, Chair Salani.
Can I also announce that the session is live on YouTube? So anything that we do here, we must take cognizance of that. Legislature staff.
Good morning. My name is Ghana D. I'm standing in for Mr. Mukari, the committee coordinator. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Faith Mosutu, researcher. Good morning. Mutimele Mleje Elizabeth, the researcher.
Good morning, my name is Kapisha Nagwini, portfolio committee researcher.
Good morning, Lawrence Shilanye, researcher, officer of the ship.
Good morning, Carol Salami, communications.
Good morning, Faith Masayela, chairperson of committee.
Can we move to Office of the Auditor General?
Thank you very much. Then Mudawumburane David, project manager, auditing Department of Agriculture.
Can we move to Provincial Treasury?
Good morning, my name is Mahama Soto.
Can we now move to the department, Honorable MEC?
SECO and members of the SCOPA and members of the Auditor General, Treasury, and staff of the legislature. My name is Tabo and Mkoli, MEC Agriculture. I think she must introduce herself and also introduce the whole agriculture team. With your permission, Chair.
Good morning, and thank you, Honorable Chairperson, Honorable Members, Honorable MEC, and colleagues. My name is Ramatzimele Jacqueline Maisel, the Head of Department, Agriculture and Rural Development. With me in the team is the Chief Financial Officer, Marian Gadinki, Director for Internal Control, Fiona Hetisani. Next is Mr. Jethro Nowata, Chief Director responsible for Agricultural Development and Farmer Support. Lucy Siavi, Chief Director responsible for Agricultural Regulatory Services and Technology Development. Dr. Melinda Labuskakhni, Chief Director for Agrarian Transformation and Sector Development. Mr. Leseja Gola, Chief Director for Sustainable Resources Management. Mempo Mashamba, Chief Director responsible for Corporate Services. Mr. Kazamola Mashele, Director responsible for Employee Relations, what we usually call Labor Relations. Faith Nechitomboni, Acting Chief Risk Officer. Mr. Tambani Makwibela is the Manager in the Office of the Head of Department. Mr. Komwal Nemo, Parliamentary Services and Community Outreach. And Mr. Chamano, the Head of Office of the MEC. Thank you, Honorable Chairperson.
Thank you very much. We have apologies. Mr. Ghana.
Yes, Chairperson. We have the following apologies. The first apology is from Honorable Silamulela. He has other engagements in Gauteng. The second apology is from Honorable Makrupeja. She's attending some matters at school. The third apology is from Honorable Mate. He's not feeling well today. Fourth apology is from Honorable Matlow. He has got other pressing engagement. And fifth apology is from Mr. Mukari. He has got other engagements at the office in Leboahom. The sixth apology is from is from Mayor Karin Grovier from the AG's office. She has got other commitments in the office. And another apology is from Mayor Semenya from the Office of the Treasury. She has got a meeting called The Range, but she'll be joining us. Those are the only apologies. Thank you, Chair.
Thanks very much. And the following honorable members have requested early leave due to some other commitments, so they will leave us in the course of the meeting. That is Honorable Malaga and Honorable Smale. Honorable MEC, we are starting with our engagement. The first issue that we request from you is to take responsibility of the content of the file. That is, this is your file, and you know what is inside, and you take responsibility for it. Can you indicate for us?
Thank you, Chair. My name is Tabo Mkoli, the MEC for Agriculture and Rural Development. Indeed, I take responsibility for the content of the fund.
Thank you. Now we are going to start with the process. In that order, we've got Mr. Smale. He did. Thank you. Mr. Smale, question 1, in that order.
Chairperson, question 1 relates to resolution status and statement of audit outcomes.
Honorable Chair, usually we give the question 1 out.
Which question? We start with question 2.
We start with question 2.
Question 2. Thanks. Yes.
Thank you, Chair. Question 2 relates to underspending of the budget. Executing authority in paragraph 8, as disclosed in the appropriation statement, the department materially underspent the budget by 98,786,000 rand, in a total of which 90,625,000 rand relates to agriculture farmer support and development program. This is also recurring from the previous financial year. Question 8. Why did the department underspend the budget by 98,786,000 rand? B. What impact did the underspending of the budget have on service delivery and achievements of planned targets? Who are the responsible officials? What action did the accounting officer take against responsible officials? E. What plans put in place by the accounting office to fail to prevent the underspending of the budget? F. Provide the plan to prevent the recurrence of this anomaly. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thanks very much. Back to you, Honorable MEC. Before you talk, you introduce yourself and the position you hold. Then we proceed. Thanks.
Thank you, Chair. Once more, my name is Tabo Ndlumkoni, the MEC for Agriculture and Rural Development. Chair, I will ask the HOD to take question 2. From your permission.
Thanks, HOD.
Thank you, Honorable MEC, Honorable Chairperson, Honorable Members. My name is Ramatsimele Jacqueline Maisela, the Head of Department of Agriculture and Rural Development. The department underspent the budget as follows: under administration, 2.811 million, sustainable resource management, 4.17 million, agriculture producer support and development, 90.628 million, agriculture education and training, 1.2 million. Underspending is due to the following reasons: delays in finalization of procurement of Cisco call manager and firewall due to the late finalization of procurement at SITA. Late approval of land care business plan. The business plan was approved on 19 August 2022. Also, the annexure is referred, which is annexure C, that talks to the letter that informed the department of the approval of the business plan. Under agriculture producer support and development, the underspending is attributed to low spending on infrastructure projects because of tender cancellations due to bidders' non-compliance with local content, and also on production inputs, which is fertilizers, as the service providers were unable to deliver, citing unaffordability because of drastic price increases. The price adjustment could only be done within the prescribed CPI rate. However, the fertilizer market prices remained higher than the prices the service providers could deliver on. On question 2B, what was the impact of this underspending. We would like to report that the late start and completion of the projects had an impact on the production plans of the farmers. In that, 31 infrastructure projects of the planned 36 were established. 26 hectares that were planned to be equipped with infield irrigation systems had to be reduced by 6 as the response on the water rights application was not yet received at the start of the project implementation. And so was the development of efficient water systems, as one farmer withdrew his request for development of an efficient water use irrigation system due to lack of water rights. Of the planned 5,475 producers, 1,285 that were targeted for support with fertilizers could not be supported because of drastic increase of fertilizer prices, wherein some of the contracted service providers were unable to deliver, citing unaffordability.
HOD, just 2 seconds. Can you just speak to the report? Don't read it line by line.
Okay. Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. My name is Ramatsimele Jacqueline Maisela, the Head of Department of Agriculture and Rural Development. With regard to the officials responsible, they are as listed there. In terms of the finalization of procurement of Cisco Call Manager, the Chief Director responsible for strategic management, Dr. Labskakni. With regard to the Land Care Business Plan, the Acting Chief Director then, Memang Kupani, and Agriculture Producers Support Development, the Chief Director then, Mr. Kola, and also Acting Chief Director, Mr. Mashiani, and the Chief Financial Officer. Then with regard to the actions taken through the labor relations processes, the responsible officials were written letters to make a representation as to why disciplinary action should not be taken against them. We have attached those letters and as Annexure D. And they have since made a representation citing the reasons why actions should not be taken against them. At the moment, the Labor Relations is doing an analysis of those representations, checking and verifying the information with the relevant units so that an informed decision can be made. As we move to question 2E, the plans that we put in, why did plans that the accounting officer put in place to prevent the underspending? Upon the analysis, we realized that the failure of the plans included that we have underestimated the period required for procurement of infrastructure, including the planning phase thereof. And also the plan was not adequately done because of the limited capacity within engineering unit, wherein we had some vacancies, which we only filled after we got the approval from Treasury, which we attached as Annexure E. Then with regard to the plan to prevent the recurrence, we like to report that we have then taken decision that infrastructure projects that are at planning phase will only be budgeted for planning and designs within that particular financial year. And only those that are ready for implementation is the one that then we will start with the procurement process. And we also developed the SCM process flow, which we want to reduce the turnaround time of the certain processes, but without compromising, the processes. So we have also attached that as Annexure F. And we then want to report that upon receipt of the filling of the approval for the filling of the vacant post, we managed to advertise the post, which included also the post in engineering, the director's post, and also the production engineers, as well as engineering technicians. And as we're speaking now, we are in the process of appointing. 2 posts have already been concluded, while 6 will be they have been concluded actually by March. We were still in the process. The one for the director is the one that is still under analysis. We're hoping that it will be concluded by the end of the financial year. And the post of the 2 production engineers, we had 2 not accepting the offers because they got offers elsewhere. And through HR, we are in the process of getting to the second in line, the number 2s on the recommendations. So we are confident that we should be able to conclude all that process by the end of April. Thank you, Honorable Chair and Honorable Members.
Thank you very much, MEC. Members, any comments? Can I identify hands?
The letters dated on the 3rd of the 3rd March 2020 that we entered into some sort of a disciplinary process or a formal setting. This is more than a year from the financial year HOD. Why 12 months later? Was it because the committee sent you back more or less this time and now we're dealing with it? I'm just trying to understand why wasn't it done in the timeframes that one would expect one to do within that financial year, and you waited the whole 12 months to go into that space of that regard. Chairperson, if one looks at the underspend, it does have got an effect on agricultural support in general within the context of Limpopo province. And although that there were challenges with, especially around fertilizer, I'm trying to understand what was the proactiveness of the department then in essence of R&D, or what are the other options that the department could have or might have considered in leeway of dealing with not being able to do that. How are we dealing with things going in the future, going forward? Because it has not been resolved as yet. That space has not been resolved, so my question will be straight out. How proactive are you? Have you invoked any R&D, research and development programs? Thank you, Chair. I will stop then. Pending the answers on the disciplinary actions on the 3rd of the 3rd, 2023. I might have got to come back with a follow-up, but I just need to try to understand that answer.
Honorable Pala.
Thanks very much, Chairperson. Before I ask my question, Chair, I want this one to be clear. Between you and the MEC and the HOD to clear it. The file is signed and dated the 24th of February. That is the date on which the file is signed, agree, Chairperson, which theoretically means the documents were compiled at that time, and the MEC was confirming to you, or he's satisfied that the documents come from the department and their responses and addendums to the responses of the department by the 24th of February. Agree, Chairperson? But when I go into the content, I find a number of letters that are in March. And I can give you an example with that annexure D of the letters where they were saying people must respond by the 8th of March. It's an example. I can go with them. I don't have time. We don't have the day cannot be extended. It's unlike a chewing gum. So, because we can't extend the day, I'm just showing that one annexure D, Chairperson. But while the MEC confirmed the file and signed it with the HOD on the 24th of February, but the letters come on the on the 3rd of March. Do you see them? Isn't that a contradiction? Theoretical. I don't know who is the head of legal. It can be this. The head of legal can come in and help me there. Because when you sign something on a particular date, you confirm the contents of the thing on that date. Different. How confirm it to what I come around, chairperson? So I want us to deal with that before I go into my questions, because that's a contradiction. Those letters render the file null and void.
Honorable MEC.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. My name is Tabo Kori, the MEC for Agriculture and Rural Development. Indeed, Chair, you will know that when we left here, there was a deadline which was agreed upon to say that we are going to submit the report by then. So for us to beat the deadline, the MEC would have signed those documents. But you will remember one of the things that I didn't want to attempt to answer his question. It becomes a work in progress. Part of the problem that you raise even in the opening is to say the department, it has done a lot of things well. Where it is actually lacking is in terms of consequence management. And you will notice that while you have a problem of consequence management, most of the issues affect the leadership of the department. And since we have come in, we are saying to them, look, it doesn't matter whether it's you. Remember, consequence management doesn't mean firing. It means you must do certain things. And we kept on working on a daily basis. And I imagine that at some point we're supposed to appear. And that's why you will see this, maybe the mistake, like I think Honorable Pala has said, at the theoretical, if you look at it, you know, we should have put that disclaimer to indicate that. I'm saying, because that disclaimer should have been indicated, that we even work up till last Friday, because there's some few things, small things that management don't want to deal with it. And I'm saying to them, look, it doesn't mean that SCOPA is going to kill you. For instance, let me give you an example, just to deal with it, to show that we are genuine. There's is whether Mr. Schoon or Mrs. Schoon on the tender issue. What we are saying Mr. Schoon and the service provider, they are working, they are saying they are saving together in one board. As far as I'm concerned, we don't want to hear other issues. The person is found by the Auditor General to say that you are working with this person. Why didn't you declare? That one says, no, I did not know. But the law doesn't say you did not know. Just go to the office, and this is what we are forcing the management to do. So I just wanted to give you, those are the things that we're actually grappling with to finally take decision, because the department has been seen not to be taking consequence management, mainly that it affects the department. So that's where we are. I'm saying we have to acknowledge those are the issues. A genuine mistake that we should have put a disclaimer. There's nothing towards anything that's happening from it. That's what one can say.
Chair,
Honorable Sedani.
I deliberately waited for the MEC to finish, but I wanted to interject on the basis that what Honorable Pala was raising, that can be the answer arguably so by the MEC. Because Honorable Pala is speaking about the date in which this package was filed. in essence, which means that the department have consolidated all the information. The department, through the leadership of the MEC, have signed and agreed that this is the file. But surprisingly, which is a technicality, with the MEC is not addressing it. Surprisingly, that there are certain letters which came after the signing of this particular file. Unless otherwise, maybe we are going to allow Honorable Pala again. But what Honorable Pala was saying is that this file was signed on this day in February. But now, surprisingly, there are letters, because the understanding is that everything needs to be put in place. The MEC should have the knowledge and should have signed everything which is contained in the document. But why are these in actual fact letters which are signed, which have been dealt with in March? That is a technicality, which I think the MEC is not addressing it. So I think it will be better if maybe through you, Chair, the MEC can tell us about the knowledge of this particular file, because members are concerned about the letters which were signed, especially in March, because it raised doubt, it cast aspersion on the department as to, but how? Because you are saying that you have finalized this file on the 20th of March, of February, but now there are matters which I think are addressed. Maybe the MEC, are you aware of this particular letter? Maybe that should be the question. Are you aware of these letters which were signed in March? Because in our understanding, when you have signed every information here, you have signed it on the 20th of March. And that I believe maybe the MEC should be able to address it. Thanks, Chair.
Honorable MEC.
Honorable Chair, my name is Tabo Mumukwane, the MEC for Agriculture and Rural Development. I've acknowledged to say that I'm aware of each and every matter which is in this file. I can talk to it off my head. And you would have, remember, our appearance was not supposed to be today. It was supposed to be somewhere in the letter. And even today, we're not supposed to appear today. We're supposed to appear on the 8th. We had to exchange date with the MEC for the date because of other commitments. And I'm saying we should have put a disclaimer on this matter that some of the information was in an effort to improve the file because we are interrogating the matters on a daily basis. Because if you give answers, for instance, I'll just give you an example. The same matter of Mr. School, to say there's no issue on this matter. When the MEC saw those things, he says, no, but you can't be still answering the same thing that the committee said, don't improve on how you answer. And I'm saying, the mistake that we made, that's why Honorable Pala said, and I want to interpret what he said, it could be technical, and I understand the legality of it. It is not like we want to mislead the committee. It is in a quest to improve the consequence management. You will know that the department is doing well in most of the things. The issue which is lacking is about consequence management, and that consequence management, it has to happen because of the senior management being affected. So that's where I am, and I said I want to apologize for that matter.
Honorable Pala.
And do they have a head of legal here? Yeah, that's a direct one, Chair.
MEC, actually, you have the head of legal here in the meeting.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson, members. My name is Ramatsimele Jacqueline Maisela, the head of department. We do not have her here today. She's on leave. the Chief Director of Corporate Services is here.
Just a follow-up. What do you think is the legal implication of this arrangement?
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson, Honorable Members. My name is Ramatsimele Jacqueline Maisela, the Head of Department. I will have to be advised, Honorable Chair, I may not outright indicate what I'm thinking could be the legal implication. Suffice to go with the apology that is being put on before the members by the Honorable MEC. Thank you.
Follow-up?
I want to round it off, Honorable Chair, because as you know, Chair, you are in this committee, where the MEC knows very well we are not difficult people, because most of us grew up in a church. This is what happens. Legally, let me deal with the legal part where you were chairperson and then make a proposal. Legally, HOD, because I see you are shilly-shelling and dilly-dallying. Legally, you should go back legally. Because when you sign something on a particular date, you will say, I have seen these documents on this date. These documents, all of them are compiled and full on this date. Once another document comes in of a document there, of a date thereafter, it renders the whole signature irrelevant. Do you get it? If you get it. So, and I'm not there. So let's go through that. So, because I'm a lenient guy, as you know, Chair, let me be lenient. One of the most lenient members of the list, that they apologize fully for the contradiction. And who is the guy there at the back who is working in the MEC's office? Welcome. Yeah, chairman or chairperson, because this file, all of it, the MEC is right, not just those letters. A lot of other documents show that they were working on them in March and in April. They are not of the 24th of February. So the signature of the MEC and the HOD there contradicts the entire content of the file. So my proposal, in the interest of progress, if you get it, if you don't get it now, you matata. In the interest of progress, the people from the MEC's office get a new letter for Friday, which is when the file came. And then we put it in the files. It will be confirming this file, Chair, and I will be satisfied. This file will legally be before us because the documents that come in March, some in April, and after the 24th of February will be legally in front of this Committee of Parliament. And then I can proceed with the hearing from there. Thanks very much for the motion.
Yeah, thanks for that legal advice that you gave us, Honorable Member. Honorable MEC, you are advised to issue orders to ensure that that letter is retyped and you put the date as suggested. I think somebody knows finally if it is in then so that you can just sign and you can be able to proceed. MEC.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. My name is Taum Ndrumkole, the MEC for Agriculture and Rural Development. Let me thank the committee chair and the members for the council, and we will ask the head of the MEC's office to immediately dispatch the letter so as to be able to validate the information that we have, and we really appreciate and take the spirit in the manner that we are being advised. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Can we proceed? Yeah.
Thanks very much, Chair. I'm now on the normal questions, follow-up questions on question 2. Now that we have leniently gone through that hurdle in relation to underspending, Chairperson, as, which is the item we are dealing with. Honorable MEC, as you know, the issue of underspending is a matter that is of concern to us as representatives of the people. All the departments that came here, the chairperson can confirm that have underspending. We raised this matter sharply with them because practically, no longer theoretically, practically it means, the chairperson will tell you, is the chairperson of agriculture, practically it means our people were robbed of services that they should have received. They couldn't receive them, but there was money available. So it's something that we are very, very unhappy about. We want you to talk to it. But not just that, Honorable Chair. Let them tell us that the matter is recurring. It's occurring again. It occurred in 2020, 2021, and it's occurring again in this financial year, as the AG says in the document. How is that the case? That you have underspending in 1 year, our people can't get services, Honorable MEC, and while we are dealing with that, you have underspending another year that follows that. So talk to that. We are very concerned about that. Also, because when you look at where the department now details the various categories of that underspending for 98 million, you see the huge amount is where? It's on agriculture product support for farmers, to farmers. And it's very difficult with that because our people should have received some support, they couldn't receive it. And that is to the value of 90 million rand. Honorable Mutaka is the chairperson of the committee on public participation and petitions. He gets very unhappy about this because there are a lot of petitions of people who want services there, which he is dealing with day after day after day in his committee there. So he will tell you a matter like this is something that we are very, very unhappy about. But then when it comes to what action has been taken against the officials responsible for that underspending, Chair, you see what happens? They then say, no, we have written letters to them and we have asked them to respond by the 8th of March. And even when their responses are as up to date as last Friday, which was the 20-something of April, but they have not brought in what is the progress from that 8th of March deadline. But let's go through it slowly. My first point on those letters, is that they were not signed by the people who are said to have received them. So just tell this committee on what basis should this committee believe that they received the letters. Because usually, another department who are here, Chairperson, you remember, when a person receives a letter of whatever kind, he or she signs that, no, I received on this date. But those letters are just letters on which the duty signed at the end there for the 3rd of March, but they were not countersigned by the people who received them. So on what basis should this committee believe? Maybe if when we read the actual letters, the letters, the HOD is asking people whether she can take action against them. We have never seen such a letter in government, Chair. Laura, you write to a person and ask, can I take action against you? We've never seen such a letter, so if they can talk to that, number 2. Number 3, in relation to the letters, because the date of the 8th of March has long passed, even the 8th of April has passed. We are now in a few days' time going to the 8th of May. We want to progress on those letters in our next coffers, which I think
assist our people, particularly emerging farmers. There is money available and we are not spending the money. For me, that is a very, very, very serious criminal offense. But we've got the means to intervene. Our conscience must speak to us to avoid such type of transactions if it's there. At the 13 April, I received a WhatsApp. I'm just going to read it to you, talking about the same issue by an ordinary person that I don't even know. Ke setso sa rena sa go nyamiša mo mesong ya lehono go la SKFM. Ke kwa ba re tšhelete ya agriculture e omile ya go thuša rena balemipotlana. O kompotše milione tše kaka ka banna lenape le re hlokile kae cause le re kopantše re le bašwa maloba gaufi. Why mara black people re hloka mahlatse too? Awa o kusha bohloko. I'm just reading it verbatim. At least o kgone go romela complaint ya go but it tells you already issue of underspend where money is taken back to the national fiscus. Our ordinary people are taking it very serious. And the conclusion on the matter will be saying this government is failing to spend money as allocated and on a very critical commitment of food security. It's a matter that I think MEC and HOD, you will work around for the other financial year that is coming to avoid it at all costs. Because this is the most fundamental allocation that should respond to the challenges that our poor people are facing. It's not an ordinary administrative issue. And overall, the general that they are presented at this Mona. Nianishijili photo ya mkabula le maso 191 million because we couldn't use them. And as a public rep, obviously, your heart will bleed if Ukushisha the poverty and characterizes our society, particularly the Africans. While our responsibility is to take them from economic bondage to a particular level. So it's a very serious issue, Honorable MEC. We have to seriously focus on it. So you can respond to this.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Honorable Chair, Honorable Members. Once more, my name is Tabon, and I'm for the MEC for Agriculture and Rural Development. Chair, I get the members' concern and the nature in which they take this issue. under expenditure and consequence management, that our people have an expectation to receive services. I don't want to speak like blaming issues to others. I take responsibility of all the things. Even when you send us back, one of the issues what was raised is the same thing that we are, the issue of recurrence. Remember, recurrence, it comes at every financial year, especially the sixth administration, and we are towards the end of this. Cumulatively, that money becomes big amount. One of the things that you said, even when you put in the tender for the prices of fertilizers and what, remember there was a discussion to say, but why were there no other alternatives to source out these and those? And those are the things that we take your counsel. For instance, personally, I take counsel, and you would have seen that even I could see that you are reading into what, as a person, what I'm trying to do. I'm saying, I'm here. We'd rather go to the committee and tell them the truth, because there's nothing that you can do. And I have to work through in day and night to say, but let's try to improve. Look, the SCOPA is a committee of the past. We will account to what we are told we have to account. But we also have to tell you what is it that we're going to do in the future. I think let me allow the HOD to account about what has transpired. We will deal with some of the issues. Like you said, the issue of the committee is not there. Well, what you have said is that you are not actually punishing us. We may take it the way we want, but eventually what we are saying it actually is. Look, let me lay the basis about consequence management. Check this matter. We were told in the last meeting to say, look, we are not doing anything about this. And agriculture, you are known not to be taking us serious on this matter. And that's why we put accounting measures that everybody must account, from the HOD to whether you are a CFO or whatever. And my attitude is that it's not like we're going to fire people. We are saying, take, and that's why the letter, I want to answer on the letters. I may not know who received what, at what point, but the issue is that now I'm happy as an executive authority that we have moved a little bit. We have just turned the stone. We will receive the answers, and from there we will apply the consequence. Remember, it's not like the executive authority is going to take decisions. Me, I only deal with the HOD. The HOD will deal with who she's supposed to deal with. And I think for the record purposes, let them account on those dates what has happened. You said on this March you took a decision. Was it about impressing the committee? Was it because those are the things that we have already discussed in the department, so that we must have the completeness of this matter, so that by the time we finish, we should have an agreement to say what are the outstanding issues. HOD, through your permission, Chair.
Actually,
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson, members, Honorable MEC. My name is Ramazimele Jacqueline myself, the head of department. I will start with the first questions. Before then, I could then clarify the ones of the letters and several others. Indeed, Honorable Chair, when the APP is developed, we already have the targets that are being looked at, and those targets will be informed by the support that has been agreed upon that is going to be provided. The challenge that we had of the late approval of the land care, it was something that we had not envisaged, especially for the financial year under review, because it had occurred already even in the previous year, wherein we had an interaction with the Director General at National to say the delay of the land care business plans are having an impact in terms of the start of the projects. So we were hoping that for this financial year under review, the processes will be fast-tracked so that we, as provinces, we are able to start on time. And I think there was also a question from Honorable Smiley, which also came from Honorable of the letters. But before maybe I get to that, the issue of the challenges of the fertilizers, the proactiveness in terms of R&D, we have acknowledged that this might not be a once-off occurrence where we have these challenges as we are experiencing now of the Russia-Ukraine conflict or war. But going forward, as a sector in the country and also as a government department that should support the sector, what is it that we need to do? So we are discussing. We are having an engagement at the moment, especially at the technology development part, to say what is it, because you will then have to look at the alternatives, even on the alternatives of the crops and so forth. But the issue of the research is very, very crucial. That what is it that with the cooperation with the Agricultural Research Council, your CSIR, for instance, what is it that, and it's something that is at the min-tech, level discussions, we'll say, because it's not just affecting, one pocket, it's affecting the entire agricultural sector. So we are part of those discussions, and we are hoping that we should be able to come with the alternatives, being led, of course, by our research institutions, which have got expertise and skills in various fields, which we may not necessarily have, especially as provincial departments. But working together, we believe that we should be able to find the solutions to the problems. The letters, the underspending, I think I may not repeat what my Honorable Emis have already indicated, the emphasis and the seriousness that we take in this matter. To clarify the issues of the letters, one, when we, because usually we will refer the cases to labor from labor relations point of view will then advise in terms of the approaches that in terms of the promotion of administrative justice, the officials have to be informed to say this is what is happening, why should you then be charged, for instance, or action should not be taken against you, and this is why the representation letters. They have received, they might not have acknowledged, Honorable Chairperson, through you on the letters themselves, but they have indeed received the letters, and they have since responded, outlining the reasons why disciplinary actions should be not taken against them. And in their responses, they're highlighting several factors which have to be verified and confirmed. And I might have indicated it in passing. I indicated that currently the labor relations is currently doing an analysis of their responses. Take, for instance, the Chief Financial Officer, also the Chief Director responsible for strategic management, because they will say that we could not spend, for instance, for farmer support, because of the procurement processes where the tenders have to be cancelled as the bidders did not comply to the local content. Where also there are several factors that were highlighted. That is the analysis that through labor relations we are dealing with, and we believe that based on that we should be then be able to take the necessary steps, Honorable Chair. There was a question on the post-funded, but our failure to fill them. We acknowledge, yes, we fund, because those posts were vacated, being funded. And as a procedure, we will then write to Provincial Treasury to request approval. And as we indicated, the approval, we only received it, I think, in around June, July 2022. And then immediately after that, we then started the process of procurement. So the delays were the interactions between ourselves and the PPMC, Provincial Personnel Management Committee, wherein there were this back and forth, clarity being sought here and there, but ultimately, Honorable Chair and members, we did get the approval to fill those posts, and that is what we are saying. We are some we have made a lot of progress. I think it's only one or two that are still outstanding, but for these engineering ones, we're confident that by the end of this month they would have been filled.
Again, my name is the MEC for Agriculture and Rural Development. To be direct on Honorable Smile, to say why a year different. I think we took your counsel the last time when we were here. Like I said, I just want to be specific to say that this matter has been raised. Let's deal with it. And that's why, if you look at the people who are there, if you look at the names, it's who are the official responsible? If you look there, now in the department, it's Dr. Lapskatnes, Chief Director, Acting Chief Director Services, Mr. Kula, the CFO, Nkatingi, and all sorts of things. So what you then need to do is to say to the leadership of the department.
So Chairperson, it's actually the people who are here.
Oh, they're here.
Yes.
The
So
people
the
who are
point,
there are the people who are here.
so the point is, we are facilitating, as this leadership, we are facilitating that even if it affects you, just be honest with and that process has begun. And I think for me, after they've done the analysis, we'll then be able to say, but here, this is what was actually supposed to be. Look, I don't want to preempt what will be the outcome. And Marshall says, like the HOD say, you need to be in line with the Constitution and make sure that you don't have to be looked as if you are you are against somebody. You might even disrupt the work that you want to achieve, because people suddenly, all of them, just imagine if all of them they were to leave, the department would have a problem. So that's where we are, and it's about your counsel. I mean, you have been clear to us. Look, by the way, if you don't take decisions, let me see, we are coming for you. So I told them, before mine, it must be yours. So that's where we are. Thank you very much.
Yeah, just my worry, Honorable MEC, and you all know one critical matter that we're raising as SCOPA is our capacity as government to deal with the issue of consequence management. And no department is doing that. Honestly, no department is doing that. Now, I was gonna appreciate if HOD literally by filling deadline at 8th March to respond. Example, it's 8th March to respond, and they've responded at 8th March. And these are their responses. You give us hope. You give us, again, there's already an action that you are taking. You give us hope that no, at least Department of Agriculture is on this matter. But if you give us your letter, your intention, and or deadline or Baba submitting, and or whatever submitting in this meeting for formally, but you are not attaching their submission. You are not attaching their submission. I don't understand what was the rationale there. Because you must give us a portfolio of evidence that SCOPA, we are busy with this matter, we're here. Where we are seated now, in what we realize, the written one. Or you still are waiting those letters, because those letters were gathered at the year. One understand. So such information, if you bring it with that evidence, at least will also be convinced there is something that you are doing. But where there is wrong action must be taken. And it is correct that the administration must be notified about the intention to charge. And they must respond. And once they responded, then you will analyze and say, whether you are convinced that their response, then you take a decision. Which to me, that is the information that must come clear, or at least at least department is taking an action on underspending, because we take it very seriously, issue underspending. I think I must just comment to say it's important to get the responses. I get legal 8 and going to 24 to another month. So where are they? Why are they not? You make us to be suspicious unnecessary. MEC.
Thank you very much. No, my name is Tavam Kodi, the MEC for Agriculture and Rural Government. I think we take note of that. I think maybe what we may need to do is before the end of today, the letters must be dispatched as part of addenda, so that as you are raising, that there's nothing to add up. I was consulting with the HOD that they can do that as immediately. So and then from there we will have a deadline to say by when, so that we should dispatch those decisions to SCOPA. I mean, for me, I think we are making progress in this matter. Thank you.
This level, I'm sure that's in the chat. When I was opening the meeting, I requested those letters. I thought now it would be law ownership. So in the process of dealing with those ones, or if I honor you can submit them, no problem. Let me see.
I think my name is Tawon Kodi, the MEC for Agriculture and Rural Development. I think the manner in which we write letters and the manner in which we do things must be in sync with what you want to achieve. I just want to immediately deal with that matter, so that we don't have to spin the heads. It's going to be spooky. When the matter arose this morning, when we wanted the portfolio of evidence again, I think Fiona will be able to, Fiona Etisan, who's dealing with our compliance. The explanation that she gave me was, I was under the impression, MEC, that as we communicate with Treasury, they actually condone. It is not condoned. She says it's, she will speak to it. As Honorable Pala says, it's a write-off. They've written off. It's a matter of language. And I think she must be able to deal with that. Because for me, the way people
We'll
write.
deal with it in
Yeah,
question
yeah,
3.
we'll start
It
with
will come in
Chairperson.
question 3.
Now,
I tried to get him one of
Leave it to
the-
question three.
no, but I thought
Order. Honorable Mugoni, I don't think we are in the matter for now. We are the condolment. We are still going to present that report.
Yeah.
But my upfront submission was to the effect that we read your report. We read your report. It's in black and white on Treasury as condoned. It's in black and white inside the report. So we just want the portfolio of evidence of that condone. That's what we want now. And if you know it, tell us what then it will very like discuss, but it is not the matter under discussion for now. I was just reminding you, as and when we are dealing with these letters, then actually for and I said, little bit this I was in Mangwala HOD are now. So that the thing what I would deal with. He's got a great thoughts and I got to go and send quality. It might be ugly. Sure. Lina no no mo I get before meeting we talk.
sorry, Chair. My name is Mukoni. I don't want to speak like a chicken and egg situation. I think we will speak to it when, because again I was responding to, we have letters, we know, I don't want to go into detail. But I think we will be able to
we'll discuss them.
But the matter, So maybe we will deal with the question 1 and then we'll deal with this issue because I have letters which deal with other things. No, thank you very
it's
much.
noted. We are not in a hurry.
I want to round off. That with a follow-up, I think so Honorable Mutaka also want to make a follow-up on the question we are dealing with on underspending, which is where we are on underspending. On that matter, there are 2 points I want to raise, Chair. Point 1 is, as other all departments come here, I can say, and when they write a letter to a person like that, the person signs that he has received. And I'm still interested, HOD, in evidence that the people have received the letters. If you can, because the letters are not signed by the people to whom they were written. Only the HOD has signed, unlike what we saw from other departments, Chair, including the most recent department that was here, where people who received actually signed what I received. So if you can talk to that evidence. My final point, Chair, is, and this to the Honorable MEC, because he's trying to push as much as possible there. And this is what we say to all MECs, Chairperson, in relation to under expenditure, in relation to irregular expenditure, in relation to fruitless and wasteful expenditure, because unauthorized is no longer there generally. But in relation to these ones that still happen, when we take action, we want action on the officials who committed the thing, but also there must be some action on the 2 other people, which is the Chief Financial Officer and the Accounting Officer. Yeah, just that point, because all MECs that have those things, we just mention it here. And they are executive authorities, they will take the issues forward. We are convinced just to alert them. The PFMA expects that, and the MEC will see when we now talk later about the irregular expenditure. It will be clear that the HOD is in the middle of things, but it's the same with fruitless and wasteful, and the same with when the department and not person underspends the budget, the HOD also accounts for that, if you get the point. Thank you.
Can we move? Oh, Honorable Mdaka?
Yeah, thank you very much. I'm also still on the issue of returning money to the national fiscus and not being able to spend our money, which speaks volumes about our capacity as a department. I just want to check because you also referred to that. I was not part of the last meeting. You referred to the issue of capacity constraint in the engineering unit. And that posts were approved now. So whether you have actually filled those posts. For now, the directors that are supposed to assist you to have capacity within the department that you referred to that cabinet has actually finally approved those posts. So I just want to check in terms of capacity to employ as well, because we might also have challenges. So I'm not sure where you are now, whether you are down on that one, because it was approved in July 2022. I'm sure you got my question.
Yeah,
It's related to the capacity to spend and the personnel within the department that must make sure that all plans are executed on time and follow-ups are made, whoever that is supposed to approve, and not just wait until they approve, but make sure that on a daily basis we follow up on why the approval is not coming. So those are the issues, because you can't just wait until they approve at the later stage where you can't even spend now. So those are the issues. And also to come up with, there should be people who want bodies that can take decisions. You can't say the prices are up and therefore can't do anything about it.
The recruitment.
But that return the money, can't do that. So we need one bodies that can take decisions to make sure that we still, do what we're supposed to do and meet our targets. So that's the follow-up I wanted to make, because otherwise we'll sit here again with the same problem in the near future. Thanks.
Honorable Emir.
Thank you, Chair and members. My name is Tavum Konu, the MEC for Agriculture and Rural Development. For the cost specifically to the infrastructure, as the HOD has indicated, we are in line to make sure that the positions are approved. The chair also said the recruitment plan. We have the recruitment plan, and we have applied for almost 200 posts to treasurer. This is the matter that I had also a discussion between me and the HOD and the MEC for treasury and the HOD for treasury, to say that we need to speed up the approval of the post. As far as last week, they said that there will be a meeting which will look into that. I think the issue of capacity, we want to make sure that we do not have a reason to still say we don't have capacity. But indeed, you will see that as whether it's COVID or what, the issue of also skills and people who are knowledgeable in that regard, we need them so that we should be able to do that. So that's where we are.
Can we move to question 3?
You have not responded to the issue of evidence. Honorable Chairperson, that's the last point.
The one.
Let the people
I've heard them, Ogarabara will deal with it when we're going to deal with that matter. Irregular.
My name is Tawum Koni, the MEC for Agriculture and Rural Development. I think the HOD will deal with that through you.
Thank you, Honorable MEC, Honorable Chairperson and members. We do have signed acknowledgement.
Who are you?
Apologies. My name is Ramatsimele Jacqueline Maisela, Head of Department of Agriculture and Rural Development. We do have the acknowledgement of receipt of the letters from the the people that the letters were sent to. Dr. Labuskachni acknowledged on the 3rd of March, Mr. Kola, also on the 3rd of March, Nkadinki, and other Memkupani and Demashi. And then the acknowledgement.
They are prepared. Then we are circulated.
That's a legend. While you are receiving it, Chair, can I read the next question as you instructed?
Please. Question 3.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. To move forward, question 3 is on irregular expenditure. Executing authority in note 26 of the annual financial statement, the department incurred an irregular expenditure of 2.2 million in the current financial year. A cumulative irregular expenditure balance as of the 31st of March 2022 amounts to 197 million irregular expenditure. Questions A, why did the department fail to take effective and appropriate steps to prevent the occurrence of this irregular expenditure amounting to 2.2 million? B, provide a detailed breakdown of what constituted the cumulative irregular expenditure of 197 million. C, why did the department fail to take the necessary steps to prevent the recurrence of the irregular expenditure in the current year? D, who are the responsible officials? E, what action has been taken against the responsible officials? It is EF. What measures did the accounting officer put in place to prevent the recurrence of this anomaly? Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson.
Thanks, Honorable Pala. Honorable MEC.
Honorable Chairperson and members, my name is Ramatsimele Jacqueline Maisela, the Head of Department of Agriculture and Rural Development. The response to question 3, starting with A, why did the department fail to take effective and appropriate steps to prevent the irregular expenditure amounting to 2.235 million? We would like to report that this particular irregular expenditure was part of the final payment of a multi-year contract of the manufacturing and installation of Nojax tomato processing equipment that was declared irregular expenditure in the year 2018-2019. So the 2.235 million was the final payment. The reason the department could not stop this payment is that the contractor approached the Polokwane High Court to claim the payment from the department. The department, when the invoice was received, there was a dispute with the contractor on that particular invoice, and ultimately the contractor took us to court to demand the payment of that particular invoice. And it was not only 2.235, it was around 5-point-something million. So then the matter was set down on the agent court roll on the 19th of October 2021, wherein the contractor further prayed for the punitive cost of an attorney and other related. The department consulted with the state attorney on the matter, and it was established that the department did not have the prospect of success on this particular case, in other words, of not paying the invoice or the payment that was demanded. And we have attached Annexure C, Annexure G rather, as the letter from the advice from the state attorney. and also the memo from our legal services director advising the department to pay the payment. So that is how the irregular expenditure could not be stopped. With regard to a detailed breakdown of what contributed to the cumulative irregular expenditure, we have attached Annexure H as a report detailing all the irregular expenditure cases that we are dealing with. Then on question 3C, the department failed to prevent the recurrence of irregular expenditure of these 2.235 million. As we also stated above already, that the department was taken to court by the contractor demanding the payment of that particular invoice, and upon the consultation with the state attorney, the prospects of the department winning the case was very, very slim, and that is why then we were advised to settle the payment of 2.235 million. Responsible officials, acting chief financial officer, by then it was Mr. Matlana, and also the accounting officer, Ms. R.J. Maisela. What action did the accounting officer take against the responsible officials? The accounting officer did not take action against the acting chief financial officer because this recommendation for the payment was based on the advice that the department received to settle the claim, as the department did not have progress or prospect rather of success on the court case. So it was also a question of managing the risks that in case the department proceed with the matter against the advice that would have been provided, if the department proceeds and then there are other, then the department loses the case, there are other costs that will then be, incurred. So it was in that context that the invoice of the 2.2 or the claim of the 2.23 million was paid. The action against the accounting officer, the executive authority, that is under the consideration of the MEC. What measures did the accounting officer put in place to prevent this anomaly? The plan includes that because for irregular or unwanted expenditure, it's about the prevention, not being reactive when the incident had occurred. We have introduced a compliance process flow to intensify quality checks and assurance on compliance of SCM processes in particular through internal control and compliance unit, which is headed by Director Meheti Sani, wherein they check each and every bit for compliance prior to approval. And then also the departmental SCM process, forum has been established where sessions are held on quarterly basis so that SCM practitioners and key end users involved in infrastructure planning and implementation meet and monitor progress and compliance on all aspects of planning and procurement. The accounting officer also ensures the effective implementation of the provincial internal control framework, of course supported by the internal control and compliance unit, to ensure that we are strengthening our internal controls, which will then assist us as the department to improve and strengthen our internal controls. Thank you, Honorable Chairperson.
Honorable MEC, are you fine? Members, Honorable Kala, Honorable Jumale, for now.
Thanks very much, Honorable Chairperson. on this point of view. The regression since then to a stage where they can't return their chairperson. If you look at irregular check 197 million, where is the other chairperson? So if you can talk to that one, because the job was once clean at that time, and I may see my rule more than a decade ago. What has led to so much degeneration and regression to a stage where we are now where we are today, dealing with so huge amounts of irregular. That's point one. Point two is, in relation to irregular expenditure, there are two related points that we talk to, which are in the PFMA, which is what the law says you must do, chairperson, because these hearings are held in terms also of that legislation called Public Finance Management Act. In terms of that act, if you go to section 38, subsection 1, C Roman figure 2, it says, an accounting officer, and that's where my seller was, an accounting officer of a department must put in place systems and processes and all those to prevent the occurrence of irregular expenditure. Why was this irregular expenditure not prevented? Because now we are talking about some, as we are a committee of past tense, we are talking about something that has already happened, but again, there was a year in which it had not yet happened, in which it could have been prevented, had necessary care been taken, had necessary steps been taken. So that's the first point we ask, because the law in that section says that. The second point, and that's where MEC Mukori comes in, because if you look, chairperson, I don't know that you saw, most of the action they are taking, even of all things, 2017-18, as the researcher was saying in the morning, they are taking action now in March. I don't know that you saw that. Come March 2023, Kaibesu Committee, MEC Mukori, Gabusa Jiragala. And we're going to show you that throughout until we reach the last question. So let's go through it. The third question from me, say, in relation to that says, when you go to PFMA section 38 subsection 1 and you go to H Roman figure 3, it says, once irregular expenditure has happened, the accounting officer of a department must take effect and appropriate. And Mugoni, I want to wait for SCOPA in the law. Honorable Chairperson, no way ever wait for SCOPA hearing, wait for SCOPA question. No way. But the law says, once it has happened in that financial year and you see it, when the annual report comes for at that time, chairperson. And that's why we're interested in this, because it's cumulative. Even the cumulative one, we are interested in action. And we want her to go slowly on the cumulative one on what action has been taken. Because how's a action, even Treasury and Ella, it doesn't condone, agree, you know that. Because pressure on them, we are putting fire on them also. Not to condone things that just come like that without action. Honorable Mukori. So I'm saying, section 38, subsection 1, H, Roman figure 3 says, once irregular expenditure has happened, the accounting officer of a department must take effective and appropriate disciplinary steps. And about disciplinary steps, remember I said, I write a letter to Gatingi and them and ask them whether I will take steps. I get a warrior person. And I've already taken a person to further training to a workshop at the lodge in Pretoria. I've already legal duty so. The normal disciplinary action as we know it. So we're interested in why in this case it didn't happen and why it didn't happen even in the accumulative. And I want her to go through the accumulated 197 million now that is in front of us, Chair. What action has been taken against official in relation to each of the several amounts that are there? And I want her to go slowly. In relation to the case where she says, after the case was too weak, in any event we were going to lose it. Again, that is not where we are. Where we are, why did they not have a solid case in the first place? Okay. If you look at let's go through it slowly. If you owe a person, you will pay. You don't wait for the person to take you to court and say we don't have a solid case, and then I don't know whether I'm going to get it. Because then what? Why did they not have a solid case in the first place in this regard? And why didn't they pay where they should have paid in time before they were taken to court if they did not have a solid case in the first place? That's good. My point 5 is on where you are, Chairperson, with Mugoni already. When you were in question 1, you were already here. Now we are on the condonations. And I want them to go slowly through them. That our next page. I want them to go through the various amounts and show us the condonation letters from Treasury for the 401,000, for the 721,000, for the 1.4 million, for the if they can talk to those, show us the condonation letters that indeed Treasury condoned those various amounts, and we'll be able to reach where you were and go through it. When we now reach question 7 is, when we now go to who are the responsible officials, here, Honorable MEC, they are mentioning correct people, as I said earlier. In relation to underspending, you can't miss the 2 people. You can't miss the HOD, you can't miss the Chief Financial Officer. Even in relation to irregular expenditure, you charge all other people, but you don't miss these 2. In relation to fruitless and wasteful, you charge all people, you don't miss those 2. So here, instead of charging all other people responsible and not missing these 2, they just charged the 2 who are essentially correct people in general. But my question there is, why is the chief of legal not there? Legal thing that could not go through nicely and they were going to lose. That's point 1. But let's go to what action has been taken against the responsible officials. Again, when you answer, the officials are 2. Chairperson, do you see? The officials are 2. And she had to pay because otherwise it was going to be an order of the court and we didn't have a solid case. Do you get the reason? The next official, read what they say. The matter is under consideration. I can't get the contradiction. Maybe they can tell me the contradiction. Because if a traffic officer is waiting at the stop sign to see whether people stop, and I go to see whether people stop, and I come there, do not stop, and he writes me 500 rand. Honorable Smale comes there, doesn't stop. he must write what amount? I think he must write 500 rand. Because we have committed the same offense. We didn't stop at the stop sign. So even in this case, isn't the offense the same? So if they are given reasons to shield matlala, to shield matlala, our animal at one of the up in 2 was a patera. I think that's what they say when they are in the department. That's what they say. We're animal at one of the was a patera. That's what they say. If that is the reason they give to shield matlala, that reason doesn't work for the other official. It's a contradiction, if you get the point. I can't get it. They will explain the contradiction, or why are they contradicting themselves in the same. They mention them. When we say action, the other official, they give roundabout the reasons why he or she must not be action taken against him or her. The other official, they keep quiet, and no action file has been taken up to now in relation to this irregular expenditure. And that is why I'm interested in the cumulative irregular expenditure, or who are the officials responsible over the years, because finally it must be go for condonation, but they must know who is the person responsible, and they must have taken action against that person. So if they can go through that, it will help. Otherwise, with irregular expenditure, we can't accept it, that nothing happens but there was irregular expenditure. Now, when they respond to our final question there, they say they have put in a framework to solve the problem. The last sentence in responding to our final question on irregular expenditure. So our question is whether that framework is being implemented and is functional and is useful and is helping them to deal with similar problems that they encounter, so that they don't encounter a similar problem again. That framework that they refer to in the last sentence in responding to our question on irregular expenditure. So those are my questions, Honorable Chair. Thank you very much.
In that order,
Thank you, Chairperson. If you read point D, and they're talking about who are the responsible officials, and you are making reference to 2 people there, but when you go to H, I must say that there are other names that are appearing under responsible officials, in the breakdown. And I would have argued that those names then would have found reference in D when you put them out. The other thing that is also concerning, because we are a committee of record keeping, when we are saying the HOD for 2014-15 is responsible, the HOD for 2018-19 is responsible, it comes with a name. Because who's the HOD during that time? Because that has got to be clear. Chairperson, when I read the supply chain process, to determine the reoccurrence of possible irregular expenditure, and I look at the appointments or the job or the appointments of positions, and I try to correlate it with the people that are referenced. And now I will use your file, I will use your expenditure, your F against H. And when I look at F, you will see that there are certain job descriptions of people that are responsible for certain things. From the chief of supply chain, the director of that, the CFO, the HOD, acquisition management, and it goes on and on and on without going into detail. But when I look at the booking for accommodation, the director internal control, and I look at the supply process is not being followed with the procurement of the fencing and says directing employee relations. Although that the director legal is there, I don't see those job descriptions in the document of F. Maybe it's not clear. Maybe I don't understand why. And if the job description has somehow shifted, then my argument will be, if there's a booking to go overseas to China with a staff member, HOD and a staff member, who all signs for that document? Is it just the person of the Director of Internal Control that awards that 199,000? Because surely if I understand the supply chain, there's certain processes that needs to follow. The quotations, the double checking of this, blah, blah, blah. There's certain things that must come in place. And then there's not just one signature at the end. Because surely there must be a second signature. The person that does the application, and then a person that maybe checks if process was followed, and then maybe the person that pays at the end, or maybe just two. And when we evaluate irregular expenditure, it means that government did not get value for money. Now, the instruction note 2 of 2018-2019 of Treasury makes it clear that a service fee of not more than 25% can be calculated. Here the service fee is 100%. It's equal to the amount. It's a simple person that the application comes in, does the checking is wrong, that person signs off, the person that signs off the payment is equally as wrong. Now my understanding is, why are we trying to blame one person here? Because at the end of the day, there are people that needs to make sure that the various Treasury regulations and legal applications to fulfill duties are being followed right through. So HOD, I'm asking you, in your view, is there only one person involved here? Or are there more than one person involved in signing off such a document? And when I do take note that the condonement letters will come, I'm not going to go into that space now. I think Honourable Paula has dealt with that. But your internal investigations reports that are completed, what did it say in these irregular expenditure? Because in the cases of the Fetatlala matters and in the cases of Norjek, those cases, those handed over cases, comes from a report, either the AG report or an internal investigations report that says that some internal process was not followed in due process. Due process was not followed. The application to go to subs is the last remedy, either to hold the person accountable or to try to retrieve the financial expenditure that was awarded or that you should try to claim back. I'm asking, in the internal process of the application of policy, why are we not holding then people then accountable for the failure to apply good supply chain processes in place, making sure that the quotation system was done, making sure that the bidding or all of those processes was done according to legislation. The SAPS matter is a consequent to an internal process that was done wrongly. and therefore you are busy. Why are you not taking an internal process holding people accountable for an administrative tool that was not implemented correctly? Because that will speak to what Honorable Fala said about the clean audits and trying to get to achieve towards the clean audit. Because here I don't want resources, but I don't understand why we're not holding people accountable as the value chain gets to the top, and then we only put one person right at the top. So, Chairperson, not to belabor some of the points, but those are some of the things. So I do believe D must be beefed up. I don't understand that why there's only 2, and the explanations has been put on the table. So I will wait for the response by the HOD at this report. Oh yeah, Chairperson, and when we talk about the Nordex report, and bullet point 9.1, 9.2 and 3, you're making reference to that you are waiting for reports from Treasury. What are those reports that you are waiting from Treasury? I'm just trying to understand. What is it that you're waiting from Treasury? Are you waiting something from Treasury? Because it's not clear. So I would like to be very clear on, if it is an investigation report, what is the scope that you are waiting for? Is there a specific scope that you requested, so that we just are on the same page on it? Thank you, Chairperson.
Yeah, thank you, Chairperson. Mine are very direct and simple, maybe because of my lack of understanding of how things are happening concerning the question of trying to enforce compliance with legislation regarding irregular expenditure. I will take the first one, which happened in 2018-2019 on procurement of diesel at the district 294, which also contributed to the cumulative figure of 197, whereby the verdict of the, if I may call it that way, is that the culprit was found not guilty. And the question is it because of our failure to really provide a strong case, or is it deliberate? Is it deliberate for us to then have a poor case against the one that was found not guilty? And also on procurement of irrigation infrastructure at Capricorn District, which is 119,571.53. It also happened 29. Are we not able?
The one that will refer to the treasure for certain contribution. Probably, if those letters are here, I think I'm satisfied. Which I think will then deal with the content of those letters. But what is worrying is the mere fact that, it's normal. The disease does not affect the department only, this of agriculture, with other departments. When they deal with wrong things, especially when they implement consequence management, it's just a written warning, which is a problem. But I think I'll just wait there to get response from the department.
Yeah, maybe before I go back to the department, let me confirm with the department they've submitted signed letters circulated. We have circulated it. I'm sure we can confirm that. They have also submitted the responses by those staff members when they were responding to the intention to charge by the issue. These two letters are here. The other one, they're still having it in a year condolment. I can't confirm it now. What I want to check, more H, your annexure 8, on page, the second page. The pages are not numbered, but the second page up there. You are booking for accommodation. 198,000. Can we be clearly explained to what was actually happening? Why was this transaction an irregular expenditure? Sure, I'm going to book it 198. So why it becomes an irregular expenditure? Can we?
Thank you, Chair and members. My name is Tabu Mukoni, the Ministry for Agriculture and Rural Development. I'll ask the expert to deal with the questions.
Thank you very much, Honorable MEC, Chairperson and members. I will take other questions and Meheti Sanu will talk to the details of the 198, why the transaction was irregular. She's dealing with that one directly. The regression, I think we have taken note of the concerns by the honorable members that the department was once clean, but the regression and we had, I think, could be around question 1, where we detailed, because the regression was mainly on our financial statements, the quality, thereof. The reasons we are not getting to the clean audit again, what we are still grappling with. I think we have detailed that also in question 1, Honorable Chairperson and members. Prevention of irregular expenditure. Yes, we acknowledge that it can be continuous, and when we conducted an analysis, we had quite a number of cases up to, I think, 18, 19 that were new. From 1920, I think, up to the financial year under review, there were no necessarily new cases except the one of the local content that is still under assessment. The system that we introduced, that the compliance unit, internal control and compliance unit should check, because this irregular or unwanted expenditure, they emanate from mostly the SCM transactions and the bid documents in particular, that the compliance unit should assist in checking compliance for each and every tender document, so that then we are able to minimize even before the tender can be approved, that should have been confirmed that indeed it is complied with. And where there are gaps, then they're able to then say to the accounting officer, no, we don't think this one should go through because of 1, 2, 3. And that is why then you'll even say, we had quite a number of cancellations of the tenders because they just did not comply. And we believe that kind of the system is actually assisting, because it managed to so far reduce the occurrence of the new transactions of irregular expenditure. Majority of these 197 from 2014, we can say up to date now so that most is historical up to 2018-19 as I've already indicated. So we are confident that with this arrangement that we have in place, we taking compliance before the tenders and approved and so forth, is actually helping us to see the improvement in terms of prevention of the unwanted expenditures. The claim paid, why was the claim not paid before it can be taken to court? There was a dispute in that the contractor in the claim, there were other things that our engineers were not agreeing to. So the department were saying, no, we can't pay the claim as is. Then we did not agree, then that's why then they opted to court. Then as we consult the state attorney advised that for this amount of 2235, because their claim was than that, it was around 5 million. I think it's stated somewhere in the annexure. Then the state attorney said, for the 225, because that is part of the work that they have done, pay that amount. Then you leave the balance, which was I think it was 3.3 million. And that is how we got to because had we paid the 5 million, actually we did not have for the 5 million. That is why we were disputing. But then we were advised to say, no, pay the 2 million, which is part of the work that the service provider has done. And we paid that. And we said to the service provider, we can't pay the 3 because we don't know where it's coming from. There ought to be, you must give us a proof. They couldn't give us the proof. Then the matter, they didn't even pursue the payment of the 3.5 million. Condonation letters. I think Honorable MEC earlier on touched on it, the error that we have made. The transactions were not condoned. What we did in terms of also in line with the irregular expenditure framework, we wrote to Treasury, and this is after we have met with AG. It was on the transactions where we have demonstrated to AG that the one of the diesel, because the issue was that the price was uncompetitive. So what we put forth again to the AG was that the service provider included also in the price, the final price, the transport costs, the commissions and so forth. Then SAG was agreeing, but then said, no, much as I'm agreeing with you, HOD, allow it to go through the process of condonation. So then we applied for condonation. Then Treasury said, no. Their response was that they are actually advising the department to remove it on the register. This is the letter from the, I think this is the letter that the honorable members MEC were talking about. We notified them that we were going to then, based on the analysis and the facts that we established, remove it from the irregular expenditure or clear it, basically. We clear it from the irregular expenditure register. So we notified the provincial treasury. Then provincial treasury responded to say you can do that, but you are advised to then update the irregular expenditure register and financial records where the department is advised to update the irregular expenditure register and financial records where above transactions are disclosed as it deems necessary. So I think the mistake we made in the report was to say it was condoned. It was not condoned by Treasury, but it was then removed from the irregular expenditure register based on the evidence that came forth, and also because of according to the framework, we need to notify the Treasury of that particular exercise. The framework, how does it prevent the irregular expenditure? And I hope I got the question correct. There was a question from Honorable Pala that we're talking about the framework. How do we think it would prevent the irregular expenditure? There's a provincial framework, internal control framework, that advises or guides the departments in terms of dealing with and strengthening the internal controls. And part of this system that I just spoke to, or the arrangement that I just spoke to of the compliance check by internal control, is part of what the framework is indicating. So hence I was saying that we are confident that if we continue with that particular system, we should be able to really prevent the occurrence of the new transactions of irregular expenditure. Maybe whilst I'm still on this, then Honorable Chairperson, if Meti Hedisan can then talk to the one of the 198, then I'll proceed with the others.
Are you just fire?
Okay.
He sharpened your baby dog.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, honorable members. My name is Fiona Tisani. I'm the Director responsible for internal control and compliance in the Department of Agriculture and Rural Development. As requested by the HOD, I'm going to respond to the 198 rand and 998,000 rand, sorry. In 18-19 financial year, we appointed a supplier. We wanted to procure international return tickets for the HOD and one of our former chief director, international trip to China. So the supplier gave us an invoice. The invoice was 198 rand. When it was audited by AG, we discovered that there's
How much?
198,000.
1,000, not
198,000, yes. Yeah, we discovered that the supplier charged the department 99,000 rand, sorry, for the two tickets.
Yeah.
And the other 99,000 rand, it was for this commission. So AG said, no, this is uneconomical. You cannot charge double the figure that the markup is. That was for the markup. So hence it was an irregular expenditure of 198.
We'll come back.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll come back.
Thank you.
HOD, you're still on the floor. Let me see.
Okay.
Is the HOD still on the floor?
Yeah, thank you, Honorable Chair. My name is Tabo Mukonde, MEC for Agriculture and Rural Development. Chair, through I wanted the Director for Compliance, to deal with the issue of co-donation, because she's the one who's dealing with this issue. She must go into details so that the matter must be clear with the committee. May I come through you, Chair?
Okay.
Morning, afternoon, Chairperson and honorable members. My name is Fiona Tisani, Director General Control and Compliance. The two transactions that have been reported here as condoned, as HOD has already highlighted, they were declared irregular by AG in 18-19 financial year. So the three transactions were recorded in the register of the irregular expenditure, and we also disclosed them in the financial statements as such. So immediately after the audit, we had to assess the three transactions, because by the time the transactions were raised, it was almost towards the end of the audit. if I remember, it was around the 29th of July. And we had only 2 days to complete the audit. So in terms of the irregular expenditure framework, we are requested to investigate, to assess, to determine, and if there's a need to refer the matter to labor. We then assess this internal control and also refer the matter to fraud for them to assist us with the determination. And it was discovered from that determination that the very same 3 transactions are not irregular, or they don't meet the definition of irregular expenditure. I then started raising the issue, the HOD. From there, we had several meetings with AG. By then, it was Mr. Janet, who was our senior manager. And I think we had back and forth meetings for almost a year until we agreed last year that he understands that, yes, they are not meeting the definition, but then he cannot just write them off. For the fact that we have already disclosed them in our books, we must now consult provincial treasurer. And I think the mistake that we made as a department was not, because the template allows, the template for the financial statement allows to put them under investigation, so it doesn't increase the figure. But in this instance, because we were almost towards the end of the audit, we included them, hence we had to follow that procedure. So AG advised us. I had a consultation with Mr. Chocho and Mr. Pajera, to be specific. And we've been advised in that meeting that we need to write a notification letter informing them that these 3 transactions are not necessarily irregular because they don't meet the definition of irregular expenditure. Hence, the letters that I've written and the HOD has approved and were submitted to provincial treasurer. And the treasurer has responded that they have received our notification letters. So I think one of the sentences on the very same letters, it says that then you can update your register and now disclose them on the financial statement. And I think just to emphasize based on what the HOD and my MEC is that it's a mistake that I said condoned, but I did not say condoned by provincial treasurer. I thought for the fact that now they've been reversed, it is the correct way of condonment, and my apologies for the chairperson. Thank you very much.
Can I put you on the spot on this one?
Yes, chairperson.
Are you telling the committee that the matter will not arise any longer? You are done with it? The same matter?
Yes, chairperson.
What is the procedure of removing such a matter more irregular? Can I put your name?
Director Internal Control and Compliance, Department of Agriculture and Rural Development in Limpopo. The procedure is that we have 2 procedures. The first one is the normal application to condone, and we need to follow the irregular expenditure framework after all 6 steps have been followed, and all the supporting documents are attached and we submit to the provincial treasury, and that is responded in writing. That is the first one. That is a normal application of condonation.
And you didn't do that?
Yes, we did not do that.
Number 2?
Okay.
I'm putting you on the spot now.
All right.
Number 2?
Number 2 is that we can write a notification letter to Treasury informing them of the reversal, provided we have relevant documents or we have a case. So in this instance, I've been providing them with information or proof that we had several meetings with AG and Mr. Janet, to be specific. And Mr. Janet said he agrees. Unfortunately, he did not agree in writing, chairperson. It was a verbal discussion. We attended 2 or 3 meetings in AG's office. Then when he advised us to consult Treasury, that is when I wrote a notification letter which was approved by the HOD. And it is after the consultation with Ms. Chocho and Mr. Pajera.
So that process is the correct one?
Yes.
It's legal?
Yes.
Can you assure me it is legal?
It is legal.
Without the consent of, a formal consent from AG? You're still on the spot.
It is
Edisani, Fiona?
Fiona Edisani, Director Internal Control and Compliance, Agriculture and Rural Development. Yes, Chairperson, it is legal. The only unfortunate part is that Mr. Janet did not confirm that in writing, but he has advised us verbally. And to show that the procedure was correct, we even informed. Janet said, after you have notified and we have responded, notify AG. And I've emailed the notification or the response to my current team, that is auditing the department. Thank you, Chair.
Members? Honorable Smiley?
Our idea is that they were still responding to other questions.
Oh, okay.
The HOD was still responding.
Allah Fetcha.
So, Chair,
Okay.
there's another one, I'm not sure, it was raised by the member here of 294 for...
Fetcha.
Okay. For the 294, the honorable member asked why the official was not found guilty. It's the 294. The department procured 10,500 diesel, and during audit it was discovered that the invoice that we have received from the supplier stated that per liter they charged us 28 rand for diesel. That is the reason of the irregular expenditure. Then immediately after the audit, we investigated the matter as raised by AG, and we discovered that it is not that the whole 28 rand was for diesel. Within the 28 rand, 17 rand 6 cents was for diesel. The difference of 9 rand was for transport and the commission for the supplier. It's unfortunate when we're investigating, or fraud was investigating, they discovered that the supplier bought diesel again, so for transporting it from here back to Mara. Mara is one of our research stations within the district. Hence, the transport fee was also charged. So, we are saying no one was held liable or charged, honorable member, because it's not like the whole 28 rand was for diesel. The only error that was made is when we advertised the tender on the specification, we did not specify that they need to split all the costs. They were supposed to split the cost for transport, for commission, and for the diesel. So that was not clear, and that was not the error of the supplier nor the error of the employee. And so we said no one was held liable.
Whose error was that?
There was an error.
Yeah, there was an error. Whose error was that?
Wara agree we took over responding from the HOD and MEC. About the
Mayor, whose error was that?
Chair.
So not split.
It was the community.
Chair. My name is Tabo Mukonu, the MEC for Agriculture and Rural Development. Chair, I think maybe just to give a reprieve to Mayor itself, because she's actually dealing with compliance. It should not be her, I think she has dealt with what she was. Remember, she was only dealing with the letter and the answers that were dealt with. I think let's revert back, like Honorable Pala said, let the HOD take that, because she's dealing with after facts. It's not her who deals with operations, business plans, and all specifications. She can only advise them to say, yeah, you have a problem. But in this regard, let's revert back through your indulgence, Chair.
Before that,
Honorable Mugon, are you speaking on the matter?
yeah, before that, I think on the matter, maybe if you want to comment on that, you can comment. But I wanted to say that I think she was still answering some of the other questions that were direct that she wanted to answer it after completing that it can go back to the MEC and the HOD. Unfortunately, we have this interjections.
Angithi niyabona ukuthi useniyaphazamisa. Ngoba ngibuya strong mangibuya emuva la. Honorable Mufoni, I hear your proposal. But my take is that you there as management, you are equally responsible to deal with sections that you deal with and give us a response, a scope. And your office delegated the matter through HOD to an operative on the matter. An operative is giving us details, and we want to confirm the details from the same operative. I don't think the HOD can come back and want to confirm the details that she was giving. So that's why I will say, can I put you on the spot? Which means I'm going to take a toe-to-toe on the matter so that we record what she is saying. That's why I had an interest when she was saying nobody was responsible, it was an error, but the mang that's responsible, among. So that if I am treated wrongly, I correct. Because we are noting, we are live here. It's very, very much important. But I don't deny the fact that finally she must bring the baton back to where it belongs. But I wanted her to just deal with that area. It's like there's an error, but there's no one responsible. And you can't tell us that. An error is committed by a woman body. It's fine. You can take it back.
Yes, Chair.
Okay. Back to you, Honorable Yamisi.
Honorable Chairperson, honorable members and MEC, thanks. My name is Ramatzimele Jacqueline Maisela, the Head of Department of Agriculture and Rural Development. Maybe starting from the response of Mehetisan on the diesel matter. The DC process unfolded, and I think it was the question was why was the person not found guilty? The understanding is that the chairperson of the DC hearing, the matter was deliberated at that platform, and the reason why the chairperson did not found the official responsible was that, of course, the issue of the specification. But coming to the specification will come from, the specification doesn't even come from supply chain. It comes from the end user, the person who's requesting that the diesel must be purchased. So that end user is the one that should develop or should have developed the specifications. So that error is then attributed or is linked to the end user who failed to include all that in the specification. So the procurer is therefore cannot be found guilty on that part. I'm not sure if it's clear. So the end user for this diesel of Mara will be the manager of the Mara research station, because it's the requester that the diesel must be purchased. If I may proceed, Honorable Chairperson, I hope now I'll be able to follow the sequence. I think I spoke to the question of the framework and also the condonation letters we've covered. Then the next question, I think, Honorable Smale, names of officials, not the same in both annexures, annexures F and annexure H. Annexure H. Annexure F, yes, indeed, it outlines, it gives details of the transactions of this irregular expenditure is clear. But now, in annexure H, honorable members, is the compliance, our process flow, the SCM process flow that I also earlier on spoke to say, the reason we developed this process flow is for us as a department to ensure that we shorten the turnaround time, because we had come to a realization that some of the processes, they take longer than necessary. So we then directed the CFO to develop this process flow so that we shorten turnaround, but within the policy prescripts. Because if for instance the tender is to be advertised for 21 working days, it's 21 working, we can't change that. But the process is post the closing of the tender. That is why, because at some point it will take even 2 months, for evaluation to take place. So that was just not acceptable. Then we said to CFO, develop a process flow that will ensure that across the department, this is what each and every person. So the reason that there are no names on Annex A is because the unit itself, for instance, if it's demand management, the head of demand management must ensure that this particular activity takes place within this particular time frame. And we did, because for instance, even the BEC members, it's one classical example. If the responsible people are BEC members, you will have various bid evaluation committee members depending on the bids that would have been advertised. The one person being held accountable, I think the question was who signs off the payments in the chain. There are people who signs off the payments in the chain, and ultimately the persons who authorize will be for that payment will be the director responsible for payments, and depending on the delegation, the chief financial officer will also authorize the payments, and ultimately the HOD as well. Internal investigations reports, why is internal processes not implemented, or internal recommendations not we are implementing the recommendations, and I think honorable member was speaking to the NOJAX one. The recommendations of the internal investigation reports are implemented. I think it's part of some of the annexures, if I'm not mistaken. In there, we've got, I think, 2 officials, actually 3. Ms. Manyaka, who is the head of demand management, Mr. Ndozi, and also Mr. Malika. And then it also relates to the question on what are we waiting from Treasury. From Treasury, we are waiting for the forensic investigation that is being conducted on NOJAX. We have not received that as yet, and that is why our response to say we still are waiting response from, the report from forensic investigators. And once that is shared, I will take it that the recommendations will be implemented accordingly. But for these 2 ones, the processes is underway through the labor relations of Mr. Ndozi, Mr. Malika, and Ms. Manyaka. Fechatlala. Indeed, yes, unfortunately, may her soul rest in peace, the chief director responsible has since passed. And she was also not found guilty by the formal disciplinary hearing. But the process that is still pursuing is the one where, because the matter also had some sort of suspicious, criminal elements. So the matter is currently being investigated through the police. They've not given us the update. We tried to make the follow-up. They've not given us the status report as yet. They just indicated that they're still busy with the investigations. I think some of the questions, because they're interlinked and intertwined, I'm trying to check which ones we have already attempted to respond to. The booking of the booking case, I think Ms. Hetisan has responded to that. Why people are always not found guilty?
Yes.
Well, because the formal disciplinary hearings, you know, they're subjected to that. We unless if Mr. Mashala may want to come in from the technical point of view, but where I'm sitting as the accounting officer, because I would have appointed the employer rep, the chairperson of the hearing, and then the officials will be called, they will then be interrogated. Also the department as an employer will put, you know, its case, then there will be that deliberations. So from the accounting officer's point of view, then we would say that everyone else was, you know, afforded opportunity to make, you know, a submission or representation. Then it will be then up to the chairperson, who will now be the judge or the magistrate, to then provide a verdict based on the facts that were put on the table. So yeah, sometimes it could be that maybe our case was not as strong, but yeah, what matters is that they were subjected to this hearing. There was a platform where, you know, both the employer and the employee, you know, were provided opportunity to make representation. Therefore, then the independent, because they are independent anyway, the chairpersons will then make a determination in terms of the outcome of the case. Thank you, Honorable Chairperson.
Thank you, honorable members. Paula, Sumali.
Let's go through it slowly. In relation to the diesel case that Honorable Mdaka took out, they say that the official was not responsible because he was the one, he or she was the one who was buying the diesel. So they admit that they charged the wrong official, if you listen to them.
Yeah.
But the official who was supposed to be charged is the chief of head or whatever of Mara station. Why didn't they charge the correct official?
Yeah.
That question asks itself.
Yeah.
That's where Mdaka is. Why didn't they check the correct official in the first place? We hope that they are writing the questions, not caucusing.
I think so.
They were supposed to caucus from 24 February to today is the 24th of 23rd of
24th of April.
the 23rd of April. So it's how many months? 2. So as soon as I caucus, I hate this. You know, you get up on a Arab. They go to one of whom let them talk about that official chairperson. Number 2, and that's I'm just following up on Mdaka because it's my elder brother here, and usually when they overpower him, I support him. No, really, that is true. Look, is there any? He asked a question: why are all officials? Let's go through it slowly. Honorable Tabumkoni, the Honorable MEC, we are going to demonstrate to you up to the last page of this report that no official in this department was ever found guilty on the transgressions. Are we together? Why is that the case? Is there any official who was ever found to have transgressed and then that official was taken to task? Because in this case, and we are going to go to those cases, just 102 cattle, 120 computers, 88 laptops, I don't know whether you see them going. No official is found guilty in all of them, and we're going to go down to everything else to show you, even with those things, nothing happens. This is Uncle Laban's department, if you read the Bible. The most famous uncle in the Bible is an uncle called Uncle Laban, who everyone wanted to visit. Because when you visit Uncle Laban, you get all the nice things there, oranges and sweets and all that. unlike other uncles who will give you work to do. This is Uncle Laban. Essentially, despite the work you are doing, the results are Uncle Laban's results. As Mutaka was saying, we don't see a single official who has ever taken to task. And we have just asked the HOD, and let me restate the question as my follow-up question 4. Let me restate it. Who are the officials responsible for the accumulated irregular expenditure check? You remember I asked the question. She left it. Again, it's because we don't want them to act about HOD or CFO's forums. They are the biggest topic to SCOPA. Everyone knows that. Who doesn't know? Because they don't do their work. They think this committee is the one that helps them do their work. I think they should have taken action. So we're interested in the officials on all those 197 million of accumulated irregular expenditure over the years. And in this case, we are fortunate, Chair. I don't know how you see how fortunate we are.
Yeah, I see.
This HOD was a HOD since 2013. We appointed when Rosina Semenya was an MEC. Rosina Semenya has forgotten that she was an MEC. We have appointed her there long ago. She has always been there. So we're very fortunate in this case. She has got in her own memory who has committed which irregular expenditure. So as question 4, we want her to talk to that. In relation to that one of payment, where they say someone wanted to be paid, and then he or she increased the amount to 5 million, we were supposed to pay him 2 million, because he took us to court. We rushed to pay the 2 million, which actually we owed him. Do you get it here? Then why irregular expenditure? If that is the money that the person has performed work and you actually owed him, and you paid him the exact amount, why is that money irregular expenditure? So can they talk to that? Let's come to the key question now. And Chair, I want you to go slowly on this. This one we are not going to go fast. Honorable Mgoni, in terms of the law called Powers, Privileges and Immunities of Members of Parliament and Provincial Legislatures Act, every person who brings information to a committee of parliament, either in writing or verbally, is deemed to be under oath. Are we together? And therefore, if you bring false or falsified or exaggerated information, you are lying to that committee of parliament and you are guilty of an offense for which you must be reported to the next police station. Because both of them can pretend as they are sitting there that they don't know what condonation is. They can't. And I want them to talk to that. Thanks.
Honorable Small.
Chair, I want to go back to H, and it wasn't answered by the HUD. I want to understand, let's take accommodation, the 198,000. Go step by step on the procedure. Who asks for the quotation? Who checks if the necessary regulations has been followed in due process? And then who signs off for the money? Because I'm asking this, because there's a Treasury Regulation Note number 2 of 2018-2019 that guides what you can and cannot do. And if you do not fulfill, regardless if the commission was added, regardless, let's forget about what the amount is. The regulation says you must do 1. You didn't do 1. That is where I am. Now I want to go to the diesel. HOD, and I cannot accept your thinking and the people that signs it off. Because I will say this to the following. There's a Petroleum Products Act that gives zones to suppliers, licenses and permits, that deals with offences and penalties. The Central Energy Act gives ownership to the BFP, basic fuel price. In the basic fuel price, it talks about fuel, fuel levies, the composition of it, which includes the wholesale margin and plus the secondary distribution price, all included. Therefore, you cannot go and make a price up of 20 rand or 30 rand or 40 rand and come up with extra compositions as what you are trying to describe, just to make it sound nice. It is regulated. From KZN to Messina, from Cape Town to Messina. That is why certain people in Gauteng pay less than what we are paying here. Even from a wholesale margin. So don't come with that color coding. It comes back. There's legislation. Your official didn't comply with legislation. He might have placed an order in Mara. Someone has got to check if legislation has been followed. So if someone is going to ask you 50 rand per litre for transport, you say, yeah, it's all right. It cannot be. What should be happening is I should go and charge the official on that side, penalties, the client who sold it because he went outside the regulations, because that is what you've done. But the dealer is as good as the stealer. You make yourself guilty not complying with the act. So if your officials on the ground doesn't implement the various regulations that this government on various levels guides our various policies, from treasury to energy, how do you want to run government? And go and read those acts. I read them again. So 28 rand is no fly. It cannot fly. CFO, it cannot. Because in the composition of a selling, it makes provisions for all of those things. If you fall in that sub-degree, you get at that price, you get 17 cents for transport. You get another 32 cents per litre for being a wholesale distribution. And then it talks to the type of people then that sit on your disciplinary panels, who wants to implement and hold people accountable. I question the people now that sits on it. I question what was the conclusion of that disciplinary hearing, because someone then signs off on that conclusion. It is just what Honorable Pala said. If he goes through the stop sign of 500 rand, and I go through the stop sign of and I must pay 500 rand, I must pay equally what he has paid. And if someone commits fraud, deliberately so, like that was pointed out, and if someone contravenes deliberately another act of government, deliberately so, surely you must take action. The same Mara, who was okay to lose 100 and something cattle, you must go there, Honorable MEC. You cannot be proud of that institution, from what it was, from where it is now today. But it is okay to say it's fine, we can pay 28 rand for diesel. We don't even pay it today. But for none of you, it is problematic. You find a solution to get away with the sanction. The AG tells you it's wrong. A normal guy on the street will tell you it is wrong. Actually, I will ask you to go to the garage and pay 28 rand a litre for diesel now. In your own car. And don't say one word. But 4 years ago it was fine. It comes back. We don't want to hold people accountable. We don't want to implement the regulations, the circulars, the introduction notes, and the various other legislation that either comes from our other sister departments. Because we simply don't want to do it. These are two actions that I put here on the table of MEC. And it doesn't sit well with me, and I'm sure it doesn't sit well with the members next to me. And it should not sit well with you as well, MEC. I know you've taken this portfolio just recently, but it cannot be. Let people do business with government the right way and allow people to do business with government, but not like this. Thank you, Chief.
Yeah, thanks, Honorable Smale. Don't allow the debate to skyrocket. Like I've said when I was opening, this meeting is in your hands. The way you respond to us will determine the way forward of this meeting. But what we are requesting for, you are not in the court of, just tell us the honest facts. This is what is happening. Because if you are unable to do that, it really our really perception in the department of collusion. And it will be a perception. And it will stick as long as you don't give us the details of what is actually happening. I think that is the spirit members are beginning to highlight. We all know irregular expenditure is a deliberate non-compliance of statutes by home bodies. It's deliberate. I think the CFO would that. Irregular is just about the home body doing wrong thing. Having a piece of regulation here in front of him or her, but deciding not to comply with it. That is irregular. Our error. Deliberately, the home body does not want to comply with the regulation. Amen. Agreement note 2 of 2018-2019, that speaks to your markup. It's regulated. How much is that markup? I'm told it's 25%. This one is double. That's why AG picked it up. Kutila ikona inja inlumile. Lo muntu instead ukuthi athengele ibhodlela, market price yakhona is 20 rand. You need 25% of 20 rand, which is 5 rand. You can't sell it above 20-25 rand in terms of your statute. But when you buy it, you deliberately authorize payment for 100% markup, and later Moto Alamo found that guilty. You come here and tell us, Honorable MEC, go and sort out some of these things. Because all these things, look at the 62 million irregular expenditure because of non-compliance with SCM policies. That's what you are saying. SCM processes were not followed to the tune of 62 million, and the yearly care, year in and year out, until 2018-2019. Go fast. Today, after 3 years, or 5 years, you telling us what the investigation has been completed. Yes, that's what I'm saying here. After 5 years, investigation has been completed. Disciplinary process is still going to be initiated after 5 years. And we want us to be convinced of this is a true reflection of what is actually happening. That's why MEC are making an appeal. Let's say there was really perception, there's a collusion in the department. Because they are very vicious. Don't make us to arrive at that mentality. Because I now want to work with you with honesty and trust. So don't break our trust. So it's members are beginning to say, are you really telling us what we're supposed to tell us? I think that is the spirit. And that's what we must always have confidence in you, for we have been given a responsibility to run the department, and the information that you bring to us is authentic. Anytime we say, rate us correct. But we are not getting that now. We are no more comfortable. Please, we are going to proceed, but responding to those issues. Please, and honestly, under oath. Can you please, MEC, respond to the follow-ups?
Thank you very much, Chair and members. My name is Tabu Mukoni, the MEC for Agriculture and Rural Development. I try to avoid to speak on their behalf. And unfortunately, some of the things come out as you ask questions. Another partner says, please don't earn your salary. What you're saying is, earn your salary, we are not part of your salary. That's what we have been saying. Don't wait for us to ask questions. I heard you on those issues. You know, when you start interrogating matters, that's why on my part, and I don't want to really say, I avoid to throw them under the bus because it may not be the right thing to do. I'm saying that one of the things that I try to do is to make sure that we deal with matters as they are. And that's why I said I've dealt with the first part of accountability. You can see, I said it earlier on to say, in the part of accountability, you know. And we are saying, maybe you are making, remember, at where we are, you are saying to me, there's a pattern that we are observing, that in the department is Kamina Kawe. Because the issue of the price, I was asking myself, maybe you took it at face value when Honorable Smali says, the price of diesel is regulated. I was asking myself, you know, I was a contractor. It doesn't matter whether you buy petrol at, you deliver petrol to the site from here to Mokopong. I was building a road in Mokopong. You know, something is, you are right, something is not right. You don't add, petrol is regulated, you don't add transport, and because there's a CPI.
Yeah.
And there's a question that you ask. Even if this one, maybe the right person was not the right one who was charged. I mean, it's logical. to say that the one who purchased the diesel is not the right one. It's the one who
Make the requisition.
is the one who made the requisition. Why would they want to buy diesel from Mara? They jump every boat and come and buy in Polokwane. Look, I guess maybe what we may need to do is, I hear what you have raised, Honorable Palatolice, that in essence, you are saying we do not do our job in detail in terms of consequence management. Yeah, it's a very difficult one, which I have to take responsibility as an MEC. Again, you must take responsibility at some point, because it will not help us, because those are basic issues, the recurrence and the honorable way of answering issues. I think maybe this time it's not like we are withdrawing. No? It's just that consequence management has to be taken. Because, to be honest, everybody can see, and the department has to get a clean audit. And I'm saying, I saw it to the HOD. I told the HOD I'm going to charge you. She knows that. When you see that, and I must say the truth, to say I'm going to charge you, but remember, it's not my responsibility to charge the HOD, it's the Premier's responsibility. My people have sent me a document. But the point that I'm trying to raise is that some of the things are embarrassing, and I will say it. Like they're saying, Fiona is a stalwart in terms of public service. She could have, and you see the issues that the more she says it, you can see is an honest answer. Maybe she was not concentrating at the time when she was writing down, because as you say, why would she say condemnation when you ask her? I wanted to say, what did she say? Because she had to remove it. She has done the right thing. But at the time, or maybe it's not her who wrote the thing, it's somebody else. But it's not a matter that I need to deal with it here. I mean, I speak as a civil servant. I know the right, look, you are right, I was there. Remember, I was there at Mara on Thursday. You know, the first thing that I said, I'm saying, I believe that when you go there, look, I don't want to speak as if, because sometimes some of these things are, if you would have had me, I mean the gate, when you come there, it's embarrassing. You can't say it's a station. But I'm saying, these are some of the issues, and I've already told them, I already told the HOD. But I'm saying, because we'll sit here and, I mean, this meeting hinges on those few issues, almost, that's what is left with the department, to deal with those issues. And it will look like we are playing yo-yo, you know? And I wanted to conclude.
Let me interrupt the MEC.
Okay, sure.
Because we are interested in consequence management. And we are not saying that the MEC must touch people. But what we are saying that the MEC must implement consequence management. All these things, I mean, the MEC can explain on everything, the wrong things. They can come with all this, because that is their trick in all the cases. What we are interested in now is as to whether is this department ready and committed to implement consequence management, not written letters of warning, like it happened where they just wrote. Because what makes us to be angry, Chair, is that the department, they go back, they write letters, and they say, we are suspending you for example, for 6 months. After 6 months, nothing is happening. So maybe the MEC must just tell this honorable member as to whether will consequence management be implemented. All those cases, not only on this one of Mara or what, all those cases that in actual fact we spoke about, whether consequence management is it going to be? Because that is what we are interested the most. These other things, because the department before the committee, when it appeared, there are a lot of cases which are sitting here. And as a result, they are not doing anything. We are concerned about them, in actual fact, not implementing consequence management. So now, maybe the MEC, to save the department, is to agree before this committee. Is he, in actual fact, ready to implement consequence management? These are the explanations we are going to sit here and listen and so forth. At the center of those explanations is to whether is the MEC, the department, are they ready to implement consequence management? Because next time we are going to call them, the very same issue might appear. Necessarily because they only wake up on the eve of SCOPA meeting. So we don't want them to wake up on the eve of SCOPA meeting. We want them to implement consequence management even before or on their daily work. That is what in actual fact we can be guaranteed. Because explanation will be told here. This could not be done because of this and that. But yes, of course, those things happen, but what is it that they've done? Because before they appear here, they should have done something. But now nothing has been done. People just buy petrol. We see that this is wrong. We don't do anything. And so forth and so on and so on. You can table all those cases which are here. So maybe the MEC is to be kindly fair enough. Because here, you need to have balls of steel. You are going to confront what you call Honorable Pala, who was saying a lion and so forth, when he was giving an example. These people, you find them here for some time, you just join the department, but now what you are interested in you as a political leader is consequence management, whether will it be implemented under your stewardship. That is what you are concerned about. Thanks, Chair.
Yeah, thanks, Honorable Salami. Honorable MEC, our apology for having interjected. But it shows that this discussion is beginning to hot up. Can you commit yourself to dealing with the issues that we are raising, issues of serious concern? Are the prospects that the issues that we are raising will be attended to? Particularly because HOD, you are the custodian of these issues. And the MEC is an overseer right now. We request for honorable appeal to other questions. I don't want a situation where this meeting is going to collapse. I don't want that. Because ours is progressive. Ours is for you to tell us how are you going to reduce the irregular expenditure that is still stagnant. We don't get that coming. And
but he decided to caucus properly. When we come here, we want